Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We are glad to have you all with us.
Yes. You know, we apologize off the top for getting this video out a little late, but life with two young kids with the social studies fair project coming up like in 2 days, and work, church life, all of that, yeah, we're a little bit behind. It's Saturday.
But we're glad to have you with us for day 3, the Manipulating Tongue. If you don't know who we are, if you've just joined us, we're the Gleasons, Chris,
Ishtar.
and we pastor a church called Revolution. We're thankful you're with us and pray that God is using this process with you. Real quick, if you were using Deborah's Smith-Piguet's book, 30 Days to Taming Your Tongue, so if you haven't had a chance to get it, run over to Amazon. You can download it. Again, 30 Days to Taming Your Tongue. There's also a kid's version called 30 Days to Taming Your Kid's Tongue that we're walking through with our kids, Royce and Ilaria. So grab that and come and join us.
And if you haven't done so already, be sure to hit that red subscribe button. Oh, I keep doing that because I'm from the South, right? So it's button. Button. Hit the red subscribe button and click that bell that's located next to it so that you'll be sure not to miss out on any of our upcoming videos as we're progressing through this tongue press. And also, feel free to comment in the comment section because we want to know what God is speaking to you during your tongue fast with us.
Thanks. Thank you. And as you read the section today, you may well have already done that, on the manipulating tongue. I'm sure all kinds of people's names come flooding into your mind of how they use their tongue in manipulating ways. I want you to stop. I want you to ask the Holy Spirit to show you the ways in which you use your tongue in manipulating ways. It's so easy for us to see how people use manipulation, but we can oftentimes miss it on ourselves.
It's funny because we're just so blinded by our own stuff when it comes to manipulation that we can quickly see what's going on with other people. Like, I know for me, I have a tendency to use hints, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Indirect.
Indirect comments. We talked about this.
And I know that with us, it's so easy for me to see my wife's stuff. It's so easy for her to see my stuff. But the Holy Spirit wants to show me what needs to shift in me so that I can change and I can grow. Because when I look at the manipulating tongue, I know one of the things that I can have a tendency to is to use guilt to bring blame or shame. And of course, I've never done that with my wife, but maybe with some other people.
Well, and our children, they feign ignorance. Oh, I didn't know that. You've heard that?
Yes, we've heard that. Well, you know, one of the things is we've been looking at this. We're just 3 days in that it seems that a lot of these issues with our tongue come back to a problem of trust. Do I really trust God? Do I trust that His Word is true, that His promises are true, that He will defend me, He will protect me? Because if so, then I will be able to use my tongue in good, positive, encouraging, life-building ways.
I mean, it is, as we've been discussing between us, that it's a heart issue, right? In all of this, the lying tongue, the flattering tongue, and now the manipulative tongue, what we do is to cover ourselves. It goes back to the garden. We're always picking our own fig leaves.
It's true. It's true. Well, as I have been doing, I thought, well, let's look it up. So I looked up manipulation. Well, it said the process of manipulating. It said, thank you very much. So what is manipulating? Well, it's to manage or influence skillfully, especially in an unfair manner. Now, that still is kind of one of those definitions you go, what exactly does that mean? Well, another definition, babe, is it says it's an attempt to subtly influence someone's behavior in order to achieve a desired outcome. Now, unfortunately, we can use manipulating in a lot of different ways. Sometimes people can use flattering or over-complimenting, kissing up, or ingratiating themselves to people, or withholding information. This is a big one. We talked about that with lying, but this also turns into manipulation.
You know, with that withholding of information, it's funny because that is a pet peeve of mine. And you know when people are doing that, you're like, you know more. And it's like pulling teeth to try to get it out of them, and then finally it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. And along with that, people can distort the truth, use crying and emotions, all sorts of ways we can use.
Yeah. And that thing of pretending to be emotionally hurt or appealing to people's insecurities, making subtle threats, nagging.
Yes.
These are manipulating tendencies.
Yeah.
And I don't think we think about them in that way.
No, and here's a big one for us as parents, is using financial enticements or any other behavior that will tug at the emotions of people, especially little people. So I think we have to be careful as parents that there's a fine line between helping kids to grow and move forward and to manipulating them.
Yes, because it's the whole deal of, we don't think that we're doing bad things. We think we're motivating people, right? But in actuality, it is manipulating.
Yeah, because manipulation, babe, is deceptive, and it attempts to take away a person's free will choice. And so just like you were saying, sometimes people are manipulated not because they have these horrible motives, but they actually want people to break free of something, move forward. And so they end up using manipulative manners. But the truth of it is, as we say, the means does not justify the end.
Yeah.
So when we do the wrong thing to get the right result, it's still the wrong thing.
It's still the wrong thing, right? Because it's motivation, and it's
Yes.
it's what's coming out of your heart. It's kind of like what we talked about on yesterday with flattery. Is the whole deal of, I'm trying to gain something instead of give something.
Right.
And I think that's true for manipulation as well.
Very much so. And one of the things that I thought was really powerful is Deborah in her book, she said, today many men suffer from what I call Delilah phobia, the fear of disclosing their vulnerabilities. That as men, we can almost be brought up with this idea that we have to hold everything close to the vest. Don't share the places where you struggle, where you're vulnerable. But in doing so, we can oftentimes use that in manipulative ways. There were some things I know you were sharing around that, baby, that was really powerful.
Oh, like for instance with Samson, since you were talking about Delilah phobia.
Which I know I look a lot like Samson. Yeah.
You're strong and funny to me.
Yeah.
But it's the whole deal of, he was God's chosen man, right? From birth, he was destined to do great and mighty things. And when we read the story of his life, we do see that, yeah, he did it, but he wasn't able to live up to the full potential. And that what ended up happening was the glory of what could have been an amazing story of his life. This strong man was taken down by a manipulative woman.
Yeah.
And he became weak.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, and I know that Deborah in her book says manipulation can destroy not only a relationship, but also a person's life.
Yes.
Now, obviously, that's a very real example with Samson and Delilah. But the same thing can be true in our life. And so I want to pose a question to all of us. Are there places in your life where your fleshly desires have compromised your godly calling?
Yeah.
In other words, your career, your family, your relationships, your desire to be married, your aspirations, your goals, any fleshly desire that's not surrendered to Christ, it can compromise God's calling on our life.
Yes.
See, I know over the years, one of the places where I've seen manipulation, babe, that's really bugged me was, and again, I love people that have a servant heart, so don't hear me if that's you. But what I do want to say is that there is a tendency for servant-oriented people, if they're not careful, to use it as manipulative. It can become false humility, and they start doing things to get affirmation, to get people to do the things they want them to do. So again, don't change being a servant, but just make sure you're not doing it with the wrong heart.
And then they may have a tendency to get upset if things don't go, because there's a certain unspoken expectation that we have of people. And I think that's why we need to be clear in our communication, right? To be candid, but with love, right?
Yes. No, I agree. And one of the things that we've noticed, and this can be true in lots of places, but if you have a tendency toward passive aggression,
Yes.
really pray about that, because that's something, obviously there's a lot of reasons not to be passive aggressive, but one of them is manipulation. Because again, a lot of times it's how we can control people.
Yes.
And so, again, we got to be careful that all these things can be manipulation. So we want to really encourage you, and I know, babe, you wrote down some different scriptures for people to look at.
Yeah, of course, revisiting the story of Samson, his life in Judges. So that's in Judges 16, 4 through 22. But even with starting at the beginning, because that's the thing, God, he called him from his mother's womb,
Yes.
the life that he would live. And that's true for all of us. He has a plan and a purpose for all of us. It's not going to be like, oh, God has a wonderful plan for your life. Ray Comfort's book, which is a great book, by the way. You might want to get that for your library. Download it. It's free. Side note. But it's a reminder of what are the things that are blocking us or hindering God's best that we allow. Okay? And then the other is Luke 20 through 26, where the spies for the Jewish religious order would come to Jesus to tempt him, trying to trap him. And I would, with both of those stories, one, look at Delilah's tactics, and two, look at the tactics that these spies use, but even more so important, look at the Lord's response to these tactics. And he was really good about handling it. And then I was thinking about 2 Corinthians 4:2. I'm not a big Message in translation.
The Message
Bible. I use it to get a clearer context on certain passages that I'm writing in modern vernacular, but I believe that in 2 Corinthians 4:2 it is spot on. I'm a New King James girl, that's just me, but the message in that context, is really spot on. And First Thessalonians 4:6. I know that
it just talks about defrauding one another. Manipulation ultimately comes down to defrauding someone.
Yes.
So remember, God says that he has put the power of life and death in our tongue. May we choose life.
Amen.
Be life speakers. We encourage you to join us on this journey. Encourage others to. Put it out on your social media. Invite your friends, family to be a part of it. Again, as Ishtar said, share it, subscribe to our YouTube channel, get the book, 30 Days to Tame Your Tongue.
Yes.
Speak life over yourself and everyone that you come in contact with. And, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, it doesn't matter what we say, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, we always say it doesn't matter what we have to say, it doesn't matter what you have to say. Ultimately, it's what God has to say. Yeah. So we want to remind you, be grounded in his word, be empowered by his spirit. Choose to hear, listen, and obey him no matter the cost. Yeah. So till we see you again tomorrow, have a blessed day.